Assalamu alaikum, the AP shot on Vision TV in your Inside Sport Gambia program. I am your host LAMIN MANNEH, and today I'm here with a brother and a colleague by the name AMADOU JALLOW. We'll be discussing about Tom Sanfe's selection as far as the Gambia senior scoping is concerned regarding their World Cup qualifiers against Burundi and Ivory Coast. Amadou, welcome to Vision TV on your Inside Sport program.
Thank you so much, LAMIN MANNEH. It's great to be back again, and also for the first time sitting on this platform called Inside Sport to talk about Gambian football locally, and also those footballers playing their trade outside the country. It's a great pleasure to be here today, inshallah.
Thank you, Amadou. You're welcome. Amadou, after knowing fully that Tom Sanford has released his 25-man squad for the World Cup qualifiers against Burundi and Ivory Coast, do you think there are any players that are left out and they deserve to be called up in this World Cup qualifiers?
Thank you, LAMIN, for that question. There's controversial whenever a national team or a squad is being called, both in the Gambia and also outside the country, because we have seen that most of the time coaches decide to call on the players that they feel like or believe they can do the work with. But most especially, we are going to talk about the Gambia, just as you said. Whenever Tom Sanford releases 26-man squad for the players that will be helping or contributing towards the Gambia's game in their upcoming international games, most of the time we do hear some controversy, and also sometimes people question the players being left out or the players being called up. But sometimes also you won't blame the coach 100% because there are certain things that you have to look up to. That is Tom Sanford and how close it's with some other players. And also there was a moment when Gambia was struggling very hard. Some players were most of the time reluctant to answer to the calls of national duties. So I believe maybe that is why sometimes Tom Sanford is doing some other stuff that are making people feel like maybe he's not calling on the right players. But these are players that he have been calling, and they have been players that have been delivering for the country. The most important thing here is collectiveness, the players that have been called to unite and also help the country. But going like we have seen most of the time, Tom Sanford is always reluctant to call Steve Traoré. That was a big question people were asking Tom Sanford. But of recent, this guy Steve Traoré is a player who have not been playing who have not been playing that much. He was out injured, but then he's back, I think 1 month back since he started playing again. But maybe one can say he's not 100% ready to play for these big 2 games against Burundi and also Ivory Coast, because Gambia is yet to qualify for a World Cup competition, and this time around the hopes are very high that Gambia need to do a lot, because the teams have been added, the teams that will represent Africa in the 2026 World Cup. It's been added, so the hope is very high, even though we have Ivory Coast, Burundi and other countries that are also there. But then looking at the players that Tom Sanford decided to call, I believe there are players that can do very well. The other guy also, Ali Sow, he's been a player that is not been called. But then Ali Sow, just as Tom said, because people question him why he decided not to call Ali Sow, because Ali Sow have been doing very well for his club. But then the answer was very simple for Tom, because most of the time he called these players and they just wait till at the last minute they turn down the call. So I think that maybe that is
that what Tom said as far as him not inviting Ali Sow and Yusuf Njai, because he said he called them before and they turned down the call up. That is the reason why he didn't call them again. That is Yusuf Njai and Ali Sow. Do you think that is a yardstick for Tom to use against Ali Sow and Yusuf Njai, knowing fully that these 2 lads are really playing well in their clubs? Because you look at Ali Sow post to his surgery, because currently he was under surgery after his finger was injured. He went for surgery and he's back with his club. And the moment he came back, Ali went straight to the starting 11. So it shows that Ali is really doing well in the Turkish league. Do you think Tom saying Ali Sow and Yusuf Njai not honoring previous invitation, that's why he is not calling them again?
Well, that depends on Tom Sanfe. Though we had a question why he did not call the player, but then he gave out his own opinion or the reason why he did not call Ali Swan Yusfanjai. But then most of the time, you know, truth have to be told. Sometimes Gambian players, the way they behave doesn't tell well, because when you look at other countries or other footballers, they are always proud to represent their country. But the reverse is the case when you come to the Gambia. It's just of recent, the time Gambia started going for the AFCON. We have seen some other players trying to honor the invitation whenever they are called, or some other players even trying to do everything possible to play for the national team. But some years back, most of the players, when you call them, even Ali Shaw, before he will accept to play for the Gambia, it took time. It took a lot of time. People were persuading him, things were said for him to come and represent the country. That time he was doing very well. That time Gambia is yet to go for any AFCON, any international competition. So that is why sometimes I don't blame the coach that much, because when things are hard, if you do not want to show up, I think when things are going in the right direction, sometimes too, the coach might desire to take what he feel like might help the team or the national side. So Hassan Ceesay have been doing very well when it comes to the national side. He helped the Gambia to qualify for AFCON 2021 in this place, Cameroon. Though after that one, he was not showing any sign of scoring goals for the national team, even though he's doing very well when it comes to the Saudi Pro League. But when it comes to the national side, he's struggling to score goals. Apart from that, again,
Tom said he is the best striker as far as Gambia is concerned, because he is the leading goal scorer with 13 goals.
Yeah, obviously, there's no doubt about that, because whenever you score goals for your national side or you are the top scorer, that shows that you are the best striker for that country. As of now, Hassan Ceesay is the best striker when it comes to the national side. But of recent, just as I said, he's struggling to score.
And there is one thing also that Gambians like about Hassan. Hassan never turn out call up. Anytime you call Hassan, he's available.
That is number one reason why he's always been called. If you listen to Tom Sanve, he will tell you, like, he always loved to play with players that will always honor his invitation, not players who will just decide within a short, just a short period to tell you that, look, I cannot make it. You know, that is very disappointing.
But Ali's issue, Ali said he was injured.
Yeah, that one I don't deny that he was injured. Maybe again, like, maybe Tom has his own plan, his own game plan. Like, we have to be realistic here. Even if you go to these big countries like Brazil, England, sometimes they will not call certain players. People will be starting to ask why. But then each coach has your own plan. You have your own game plan. Maybe Tom is feeling like Hassan Ceesay and this guy Badamosi are the two strikers that can help him. Steve Traoré also, most of the time he's been called, but sometimes he's struggling to have game time when it comes to the national side, because most of the time we do see Tom Sanfe using him in the second half. Even though the last 2 or 3 games, I think the AFCON qualification, he came and helped the Gambia to score a goal, something like that. But then he's also a fine striker, and again, we just hope that things will go as we wish, because we are facing Burundi and also Ivory Coast, and this time around Gambia is really targeting to go for the World Cup 2026.
In the defense, Buba Sane, again, that's Timber, a player who many Gambians question why Tom always call him. I do listen to other journalists will be saying, is Tom the agent of Buba Sane? That's Timber, because there was a time Timber was not with a club and Timber was called to represent the Gambia. Here again, Timber is there. Don't you think we have other players who could have been called in the defense other than Timber, the likes of the Gambia under-20 player Alaji Shen? Because you look at his stats right now, he played 14 games for AS Hossens in the Danish League, and the lad is a future leader, but he's not given the opportunity this time around. He was called in the AFCON qualifiers, but this time around in the World Cup qualifiers, he's not given the chance, and Buba Sane is back again, who is struggling to have minutes in his club.
Well, I think like Buba Sane is Gambia's Harry Maguire with Southgate, because we have seen like Southgate is a coach that has always been calling Harry Maguire, even though he have been struggling, scoring own goals, doing all sort of mistakes when it comes to the club side. Even at the national side, there was a moment fans started booing him when England is playing, but then Gareth Southgate continued to call him. We are seeing the same scenario with Buba Sane. So maybe there's a personal relationship between him and the coach, no one knows. But then most of the time, even though people always question why he's been called, but then he always delivers. So that is the most important part. Then we don't know why Tom is always calling him. But then just as you said, Alaji Sen is a fine player who is performing very well with AC Hossein in the Danish top league. So he's a player that many people are expecting like he will be called up for this time, because we have seen Mahmoud Bayo,
absolutely,
the under-20 lad who has been called to the national squad. So people are expecting that Alaji Sen too will be called, because they have been playing week in, week out for AC Hossein, and he has been delivering. So this is the time to call those kind of players, at least to mix them with these experienced players, the likes of Umar Koli and the others, so that they can learn from it, like what we are seeing with other big countries. Like, age doesn't matter when it comes to football now. If you go to Spain, like LAMIN Yamal is just at the age of 16, 17, he's been called to the Spanish national team. Spain is one of the biggest country and also one of the most successful country when it comes to world football. They won the World Cup, they won the Euro back-to-back. So they have produced one of the best players on earth. But still now, they are calling young players, the likes of Gavi, Pedri. They are all young players less than 20 years. So age doesn't matter to me. What is more important is if you are called, whether you can deliver. But again, Buba have been delivering, even though he have been doing very well, even though like most of the time he don't used to be with any football club, or sometimes he'll be struggling to have game time. But Tom is always there calling him. Then maybe the performance he's doing when he's called, maybe that's the reason why Tom decided to always be called. But I believe this time around, Alhaji Sen should have been in this squad, at least to learn from the top players, because with time they will be the one to represent the country.
I think now is the right time to blend the young players with the senior players, because this is something that we need to do away from. Because you look at our neighboring country, Senegal for example, they are using their young lads, blending them with the senior players. You will see to it that the senior players will reach a certain stage whereby they will no more be in the squad. So those young ones who were blend with the senior ones will be the one that will remain in the team. They already know the culture, everything that is embedded in that club, in the national team. Instead of waiting till the senior ones, their era has gone, you just want to wipe them out at once and bring in new ones. That will be very difficult for the young ones to settle in the team. So Tom Sanford and others who are responsible of selecting our players, I think it is high time they started, calling on our young players to come on board. The likes of someone even called me and said, "Wow, I am not seeing Adam Bojang, that is the Gambian Hurricane."
No, for that one, Adam Bojang, I don't think he deserves to be called as of now.
Okay,
because he's not been playing. That is number one. He's not been playing, even though he's been used in the under 19, something like that, in the ranks under 19. But then when it comes to the senior team, he's not been playing.
Exactly.
So it is very difficult to bring a player playing in the youth level to the national side, representing the country, like player playing in the under 19 of a football club. So I believe he's a fine striker. He's doing very well, but then he still need time. He need to do something to be called up into this national side. But then Alhaji Sen really deserves to be called. I believe maybe Tom have his own reason, but then I believe he deserves to be called into this squad. Just as you said, like, this is the right time to bring in these youth players to at least have the experience of national football and also international games, like competitions like this, the World Cup qualifiers and the other stuff. Because when you look at this team, most of the players are above the age of 28, the players who are in this squad. So that shows you that it is within 2 to 3 years, like most of them might say goodbye from the national side. But then Tom Sanford is just like Roberto Martinez of Portugal. We have seen him with Belgium. They have been using those Tommy Alderweireld and the others who are more than 30 years, but he was having hope on them and they were delivering. So maybe Tom is that kind of a coach that believe in experience, I believe, and also someone who believe in age and also believe in the passion that you are doing, like a player who is always there to answer to his calls. Most of the time, those are the players we are seeing Tom calling, because since Tom came to the national side 2 years back, the same players are the ones being called still now. Most of the time, we only see 1 or 2 changes. That is when there is injury, or maybe one player pull out, and he decided to call another one. But if not, we are seeing the same players since Tom came in. I think the only newcomers here is Babukar Gay, the goalkeeper, because that time Modi Job was the one who was facing for the national side, that is Toldo. Then the time he came, he brought in Babukar Gay and also a few other players, Ismaila Jom, Noasom. Those are the few players that came since Tom was appointed as the coach for the national side. But then he's doing very well. That is the most important.
Sekou Touré, French League 2, the second division in France. He's doing very well, playing week in, week out. for Grenoble 38, but he's not also called.
Yeah, Grenoble Foot 38, they are doing very well when it comes to the French League 2. And Segua is playing there. He's been a fantastic player. That is why I said now is the right time for Tom to be calling these young lads to at least mix them with these senior players like the likes of Musa Barrow and the others, because you don't expect them to stay there forever. It's just a matter of time. They will all go either in the next 5 years. So this is the right time where you get them used to to play national football, like international games, international competition like this one. But then we are at a stage where things up, the pressure is very high on Tom Samphet, because this time around, whosoever you speak to in this country will tell you Gambia have to make it to the 2026 World Cup. That is the mentality everyone is having. So I believe maybe Tom don't want to take any risks to bring in young players. Maybe he feels like might jeopardize his process. I don't know. But maybe I think that is what Tom is trying to do here, because he's feeling like this time around he have to make history, already making history for being the first coach to guide the Gambia to their first AFCON competition, that is 2021, and also back-to-back for Ivory Coast this January coming. So I believe that is what Tom is having at the back of his mind. So things are just really crazy.
How about the love he has for the Gambia? Because he was asked, and he said he loved the Gambia, and the reason why he said he loved the Gambia was he normally pays flight tickets everywhere in Europe for scouting mission, which many Gambians question. There is one Gambian by the name Demba Sanyang, and I will read the information that Demba wrote about Tom, because he was doubt of Tom loving the Gambia, and this is what Demba has to say. Demba Sanyang said, I question Tom's love for the Gambia. The former Scorpion International said, how can you say you love the Gambia when all you do is scout the same players every time, and you want to call that scouting? Scouting is when you scout a player that you have never seen before. Don't disturb us about paying your own tickets. Do you know how many of our ex-players sold their lands to buy flight ticket for players or put it in Gambian football? Demba have also earlier said he can't understand how Tom claims to love the Gambia but would never want to spend 1 week in the country to look at players in the domestic league. Demba earlier said, you can't claim to love a country that you are in a hurry to leave as soon as the game are finished. Tom is just waiting for the right offer to leave. Demba is saying, if Tom, what he is saying, he meant it, that he loved the Gambia. The scouting he is saying, that is not a scouting, because when we say scouting, you need to go in for new ones.
Like there are 3 things involved here. The first one is the sacrifice that Tom is doing. People have to applaud him for that. Like the sacrifice.
Others are saying he's doing that to secure his position.
I'm coming. That is why I say there are 3 things.
That is what people are saying.
Pulling out his own money to do the scouting. People have to applaud him for that. That's a great job.
Don't you think also he is doing that? He is doing that to secure his position, because it will be very difficult for GFF to send Tom out after knowing that Tom is sacrificing by pulling out his own money, paying tickets to go for scouting. That is the responsibility of the GFF.
You have to sack a coach. Like this is national issue. You just don't wake up like that and sack a coach. You sack a coach when results are not coming in your favor, or there is misunderstanding between the coach and the team. That is the team players. The moment there is misunderstanding between the coach and the team players, obviously the coach has to be the one to leave, because you cannot send all the 26 players away. So the only solution is to send the coach. That is why I said there are 3 things here. The first one, Tom spending his own money to go around looking for Gambian players. But then, just as we said, the scouting, we can't call it as scouting. I believe we just have to say that he's going out to look for Gambian players to watch them play games.
Absolutely.
Because the players he have been watching, or he calls scouting, are the same players coming to the national team.
No changes.
There are no changes. So the only thing you can call scouting is players that are yet to play for the national side, or players that have dual citizenship, like for example like Nicholas Jackson. The time, because Nicholas Jackson could have played for the Gambia or Senegal, but he decided to play for Senegal. That time Nicholas Jackson was coming up at Villarreal. like Tom go there to watch him play and try to have communication
convince
with him.
him to compete.
Yeah, that is scouting.
Yeah.
But players that have been playing for the national team every international break, that is not scouting. That is just going to see how they are performing. Maybe when you come to know how, maybe when you call them for duties, you can know how to select your 11, the players to start. I think that is the only thing there. The other one is like, since Tom came, just as I said earlier, Tom has been bringing the same players. The same players. We normally don't have 3 or 4 changes from our 26-man squad. From the moment Tom was appointed today, most of the time, unless there are injuries or what I said, some other players withdraw, or we have one fine player who just emerged from nowhere and started delivering for his club, then Tom will decide to call him. And again, I have been saying this so many times. Why is it that Gambia is finding it difficult to involve our first division players into the national squad? At least, like most of
the right guy who should involve those players is not in town.
Okay, I'm coming. So one appointed Tom Sanfe there. And who is that? That's the federation.
The federation.
When you appoint someone, there should be an agreement that you sign between you two. What was the agreement signed between Gambia Football Federation and Tom Sanfe? You should at least tell the coach, look, we want our football to also develop. We want to sell our players. Maybe most of the time during the international break, we look for one of our best players from the first division, even 1 or 2. We
Last season, the likes of Mustafa Drame.
You understand?
He banked 20 goals in the league.
There was this African country, is it Cameroon or Zambia? They won the AFCON with home-based players. I think it's Cameroon, if my memory can serve me well. Most of their international players refuse to come and play for them. It's either Zambia or Cameroon, but then I will check later. They won the AFCON with that home-based players. You understand? Why not the Gambia? Our first division is here. You hardly see any player from the first division playing in the national team. You understand? That is not helping the first division. Like you go to all these countries, most of the time you see their national squad, you must see 1 or 2 home-based players. You understand? Like, fine, we will say like if you go to Spain, almost all their players are coming from Spain. But then Spain's football is different. Spanish football is different from us. But go to African countries like Senegal, Morocco, and other places, you will see their own players. Egypt. Egypt won the AFCON here. How many? 3 times in a row. 95% of their players were all playing in
local
Egypt.
players.
Why not the Gambia? So this is what I'm saying here. We don't know the agreement signed between GFF and Tom Sanfe. But then I believe it's high time Tom start to call 1 or 2 from our domestic league. That is the first division. With that, you can help the you can sell the image.
Then if that is not in the agreement, GFF also need to try.
Even if at all that is not in the agreement, I think as a coach, you always want to leave a legacy.
Absolutely.
Not just a legacy of saying you won this trophy or you brought this country to this competition. That is not the only legacy you want. You should be proud, like to say you are the first coach to introduce this player into the game or into the national team.
Absolutely.
That sell his image for international clubs to come for him. You go to other like top players right now. Top players. Why is focusing associated with Cristiano Ronaldo that too much? Why is Pep Guardiola associated with Lionel Messi? They were the coach. Like Cristiano Ronaldo was in Sporting Lisbon. He was doing very well. But Ferguson brought him to Manchester and changed him, make him to evolve and be one of the greatest players today.
In the world.
Lionel Messi, the same thing. Pep Guardiola at that time, Deco was one of the finest players in the world. He decided to bring in Lionel Messi. And how did things change out? Lionel Messi happens to be one of the best players right now. So these are the things you look up to. You just don't say like I brought the Gambia to their first. And this is always what they will tell you.
Yes,
I'm the first coach, or this GFF is the first federation to take the Gambia to international competition. That is not the early legacy. There are so many things that you can leave behind.
And that is really affecting them.
Look at the same put
they
like
want to use
yesterday, first division in Bakau. The game have to be like almost there was certainty that the game would not have been played.
Yeah.
But then due to negotiation and other stuff, the game took place again. And what happens? Because since after the end of the first division, that was last season, according to them, the people of Bakau, like the ones responsible for that mini stadium, the GFF have not done anything. So why that? You know, this is the only pitch. Those are the pitches you use.
I saw the field. The pitch was occupied with vultures.
You know, those are the pitches you use for football, for first division games. At least when the season ends, renovate it, do something that can at least change the stuff. But you will just be there just focusing on one thing, I think this is what is disturbing Gambian football. The grassroots football is not going the way it's supposed to be, because one can say like there's no much motivation when it comes to the first division. Though now we are seeing good players who are going out for trials and other stuff like that, but most of the time we are seeing the teams who are trying to do everything possible to have those kind of agreements with this international agent or stuff like that, at least to take their players out for trials, and maybe if they are fortunate enough they continue to sign 1 or 2 seasons. But then the first division itself, if you go to Gambia's first division games, you look at the pitch, like it is so terrible. You wonder if this is the senior national, like the first division competition in a country playing in this kind of pitch. It's not helping. So we only have one stadium.
That will be our next topic even. That is about Gambian football. That is the Gambia first division. Last season, a drama happened in the second division last season, where TMT were involved in a point deduction, that is for their Facebook handler, they wrote using an adjective against the Gambia Football Federation, which didn't went well with them, and that they decided to smash them with 10 points deduction and fine them a money, which many Gambians came out to support TMT, saying that decision was harsh, and most of the journalists were involved saying the decision was harsh. What they wrote didn't require 10-point deduction, and it's the same TMT that is in the fourth division this season. How are you seeing TMT in the fourth division?
Well, that brought in a lot of push and pull last year when it comes to the first division. Just as you said, like TMT, they were really doing very well in the second division, but then all of a sudden they wrote something on their Facebook like I don't know, stuffs like people parading themselves wolf in sheep clothing, something like that in our football. Then GFF was not happy with that. Even I personally, I have an issue with someone during one of my sport programs. Like, why the 10 point? You don't deduct 10 point just because of someone wrote something. That statement comes from the management. So even though the management is the ones responsible for the football club.
What the Facebook handler wrote was, hustlers masquerading as football authorities.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at it in the contrary, it means,
they were not happy with they were not happy with the way things were going in the Gambia Football Federation, but they didn't say what was the reason, what was happening that they are not happy with. But then 10 points, you cannot deduct 10 points just for a post that someone wrote. Maybe most of the time, even in this international competition, what we see is you find them. That is what you do. The only thing maybe this can come into is like financial fair play. Or you sign a contract, or you file in a player who is not eligible to play, you can deduct the point. You can take that 3 points from the team. Or like what I said, or match fixing. You most of the time what they will even do is like they relegate the team. If at all they are playing the second division, take them to the third division. If at all it's fourth division, take the team to the second division. But then just a road writing, you don't even do that. What you do most of the time is like you give the team a specific time, maybe in 48 hours or 72 hours, let them respond. If they do not respond, the FA will take a step. Understand? And what is the team going to respond? Maybe they clear their stand on what they wrote here. If you are not comfortable with it, then the committee responsible for disciplinary taking their step. That is what they find the team. That is all you do. But you cannot take 3 points just for something. I could not understand that.
JFF even themselves, after writing that, they find TMT by deducting 10 points from them, later on, they even came to realize that what we did was wrong.
No, it was totally wrong. You will never see that into any law governing football. There's only, they
were trying to back themselves with the constitution, and you look at that constitution, you will not even see anything that is in connection to the point deduction of 10 points.
FIFA is the body responsible for football in the whole world. Then each country is having your own association or federation. You understand? Back then the Gambia was having association. Now it's federation. Okay, each country have your own federation. Then you are to have your own rules and regulations governing your football, but it has to go with the FIFA rules. It has to match with it. You cannot bring in any rules that doesn't go with FIFA rules. So Gambia Football Federation, you will never go to any FIFA rules that said like if any team or a player, like just let us just say if team, any team that wrote something that did not go well with the federation have to be deducted 10 points or have to be deducted even point. I've never seen that. All what I have seen in my entire life when it comes to football is demoting the team to the second division. That is even match fixing. Or you suspend the coach, or you suspend the team for a certain amount of time. That is by relegating them to the second. They come back like Juventus. You have seen Juventus having the same thing. Is it 2006 or around that end, early 2000? They were also faced with the same scenario. Even last year, Juventus have the same thing. They were deducted point in the Serie A. They were deducted point due to I think it's payment issue, wages with their players, because the amount of money they were saying out that they were paying their players was not the exact amount they were giving their players. So they decided to deduct them point, and that took Juventus something around position 7 or things like that. But they have to fight back and come back and finish in the top 4. So what the federation did there, I think like they may have a personal agenda against TMT, but if not, there's no rule which should make you to even deduct a team 10 points just for writing something on a Facebook page.
Finally, TMT were the champions, and decision, they're in the first division. Their first game, victory.
Yeah.
How are you rating them?
Well, I believe they will do very well. TMT came with a purpose, that is to change football personally. Because the way TMT have been playing last season in the second division, you can see that connection between the team, between the players, and also the understanding between the management and the team. And coming into the fourth division, I believe they want to continue with the same trend. That is like maybe finishing in the top 4. But the first division is never easy. You have top teams like Brikama, Real de Banjul, the defending champions, Gambia Armed Forces, and the others. Even though some years back they were also struggling. That is Gambia Armed Forces. We have seen Bombada.
They are still struggling.
Yeah, they are still struggling. But then they are fortunate enough to come back.
They are still struggling.
We have seen Bombada, even though they also lost their first game, but they are back into the fourth division. Bombada have been doing very well into the fourth before they were relegated into the second division. Most of the time, what I observe from our fourth division teams that normally relegate is financial issue. Most of the time, that is what I observe from them, because Bombada, the way things were going, Bombada was doing very well in the fourth division, but I believe they lost so many of their players due to wages, because clubs will come and offer your players more than what you are offering them.
They have to go.
And they have to go, because everyone is doing something to make ends meet. So you cannot expect you don't expect a player to leave to stay at a football club who are paying him less than $2,000. So one will come and offer you maybe $3,000 or $4,000. Obviously you will go there. And also most of the time also we have seen Brikama, Real de Banjul, and the others taking most of the top players into their football clubs. The reason is like the connection they have. Most of the players leaving the country for these trials and other stuff, you observe that it is only few clubs, that is Fortune and the others, who are able to do that. So most of the time, that is also forcing football players to move to those clubs, because they feel like it is more easier to sell themselves outside the country than being in a football club where it is very difficult to even have connection outside. So that is affecting our fourth division. But then I believe TMT will do very well this season. I believe they will.
TMT will do very well. Viewers, you watching Inside Sport program on Vision TV with my colleague, that is AMADOU JALLOW. AMADOU, BST Galaxy are also in the first division, a team owned by Babukar Steve Tarawale, a Gambian professional player. They also made it to the first division. And how I rating them also, not long ago we have seen them signing, great players, the likes of Alou Jame, Pro, many people call him Pro, who was in the Senegalese league. Pro joined them not long ago. We have also seen Gambian midfield maestro, that is Haruna Rashid Njai, also joined them in this season. What are we expecting from BST Galaxy after having Alou Jame, the likes of Haruna Rashid Njai?
Well, first of all, I think what Steve did was a great move. Investment is very important, especially investing in football, and also investing in a football club that is fortunate enough to be playing in the fourth division. Again, they will be testing themselves in the fourth division today against Walidan. So I believe it will be, because Walidan is one of the most successful football clubs when it comes to Gambia football competition. So testing yourself in your first game in the fourth division against one of the top clubs when it comes to Gambian
Mm-hmm.
football. I think will be a big game for BST Galaxy. And also, just as you said, having Haruna Rashid Njai, many people were thinking like Haruna would have a contract outside the country, but then that is how destiny put it. But then I believe he will help this team, BST Galaxy, even though he was playing his trade with Gunjur in the second division, and they were unfortunate to come into the first division. But then having Haruna in that midfield will surely help them a lot, because Haruna have been doing very well for the under 20 in their AFCON and also in their under 20 World Cup, and we have seen the performance that he did there. Even Gambia really missed him in the final against Senegal. That was the AFCON. Many people were saying Gambia lost because Haruna was not playing. So he's a very fine midfielder that can really help this team, that is BST Galaxy. But today we will know whether they are strong enough to compete in the first division, because facing Walidan will surely test them today.
Many were in doubt seeing Haruna signing contract in the country BST Galaxy, not with any European country.
Yeah, that is what I said. You know, sometimes, just as the Englishman, just destiny can be delayed, but it cannot be stopped. Maybe this is not the right time for him to go out. We have seen there
are a lot of things surrounding Haruna's issue. Many people were saying his age, because Haruna just turned 18 not long ago. Many were saying because of he was 17 years, that's why he was not able to have contract.
No.
A lot of issues were said about.
Real Madrid signed that young player, Enrique, at the age of 16. At the age of 16. He's still playing in Brazil. He'll be coming in July. That is 2024. So a player who is having 17 years and 16 years are quite different. It's just 1 year. But then Haruna, he was doing well with the national team, sorry, the under 20 team that was in the under 20 World Cup and also in the AFCON. But then we have seen also some squad came in. They came into the country, I think 2 months back, trying to have some word with Gunjuru United, their second division team. They also have some time with Haruna Rashid Njai. I don't know what, 1 or 2 things, maybe things did not go as planned or as they wish. But then I believe one day he might be fortunate enough to have a contract outside the country, because he's a very good midfielder who is very energetic and also have the pace. So I believe he can deliver, and also he will help BST Galaxy.
He will help BST Galaxy. Bombarda, first game.
First defeat. They came back into the first division with a defeat. But I think Bombarda should learn a lesson, because making it back to the first division anytime you relegate is difficult. It's not easy in this country. No, it's not easy to come back from the second division. But then sometimes you have a slow start, but that doesn't mean that you cannot do well. We have seen teams who have a slow start to the competition, but they end up finishing in the top 4, even in the Gambia here. And sometimes also a team can start very slowly, but then things might change. This is just a first game. This is only, you have to play more than 15 games, because there are 16 teams playing. So you have to play like 30 games in the first division. You just played 1. So that means you still have 29 games to go. Those 29 games to go, there are a lot of things that will happen between those 29 games. So it's
football. Finally, what do you have to say, Amadou?
Well, first of all, the grassroots football has to be improved. That is, our pitch have to be put into a standard level. You know, Gambia, it's very difficult to say. The national team is trying. They have been doing very well. They went to the AFCON, their first appearance. They went up to the quarterfinal, and they were knocked by the host, that is Cameroon, by 2-0. You think of it, Gambia is only having 1 independent stadium. That independent stadium cannot even host an international game. That shows you that we are not ready for football. In the sense that a whole country, you could not even have a stadium that can host an international game. You know, when you are playing qualifying rounds, playing outside your country as your home game, it doesn't help. How many fans are there to help to cheer the boys? At least when you are playing at your home ground in the country, at the independent stadium, the stadium capacity is around 30,000. You at least expect to see 25,000 supporters, and with that can help the team to at least do something. But then politics is everything. Politics have destroyed this country. When it comes
football
to
has been politicized too.
Everything is into politics.
So
even if you start to say something, some will tell you this guy is with Team Kaba. Some will tell you he's with Team Restore Confident. Team Restore Confident, that is Kamaso. So it is difficult, but then the truth must be told, and that is we have to put our independent stadium to standard. You cannot compete when you do not even have an international standard pitch where you can play your home games as a country that has been doing very well when it comes to international competition. Recently, a country that have your coach nominated as the best coach in Africa, your players nominated, your national team nominated, and yet still you cannot even play your games inside your own country. That is a big shame.
That is a big shame. Thank you so much, Amadou, for honoring the invitation. This is your Inside Sports Gambia that comes your way on Vision TV. I was your host, LAMIN MANNEH, and he was my guest, AMADOU JALLOW. Here is where we're going to draw the coaching. Till next time, keep following our Inside Sports program on Vision TV. Continue to follow us, like our page, and send us stars. And also, we're looking for someone who will also support this program, as this program will help us to bring on different sporting disciplines ranging from football, athletics, volleyball, and the list goes on. So keep on sporting. I was your host, LAMIN MANNEH. Till we come your way next time, bye bye.